A green light. All right, and first I have Pledge of Allegiance. Hi, Mike. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a new member, Angela, yes?
Angela
Judge?
Judge. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Angela.
Hello.
You want to say something, or where you been?
Something.
Or where are you?
Thank you all for welcoming me. I'm happy to be here. Nothing too formal, but a real quick and dirty summary. We are 36 years into the Coast Guard, my husband and I. He is our base commander at Training Center Cape May. We got here in June, and we've enjoyed every moment since. Prior to that, my personal history is I'm a land use planner and city administrator by training, and I was assistant city manager in a couple of municipalities, land use planner in Atlanta, where I started my career, North Georgia, South Carolina, and so on. We moved our way up the coast. I am somewhat retired. I consult on occasion, but I am a full-time home CEO. I think that's what we're referred to now. And managing two senior moms, but so beautiful moms, and 2 adult children, 4 grandchildren. I'm busy, but I certainly, when we arrived to Cape May, and we made our connections within the community, I wanted to solidify our presence here and wanted to serve you all and serve the community as best I can. So here I am.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Roll call, I guess you've taken care of
I
who's here
did.
and who's not here. Okay.
Oh, Mike.
Yes, Charlotte.
I don't know who's there. Please tell me.
Okay.
Go ahead. Say who's here.
Okay, Gretchen is here, Hope is here, Mike is here, Mr. Yeager is here, Justine, Randy, you, and our new member, Angela, or, do you prefer to be called by your Mrs. Judd?
Angela?
Okay.
Okay. Got it, Charlotte? Everybody, you understand?
Thank you.
Okay, doke. Approval of the minutes of February 28th, 2023. Is there a motion?
One amendment.
Sure, go ahead.
I was in attendance, and my name is not on it.
Oh,
Other
I'm
than that,
sorry, Randy.
I would second the motion.
Okay. Approve anybody second it as amended?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Your planning board report, we have no meeting this evening, so there will be not a meeting tonight. We did have, I'm going to read what Justine and Gretchen, I guess Gretchen, you both collaborated on this. This is what, a little bit of background on this. There's the project over on Missouri where all those units are going up. Okay, everybody, Pittsburgh and Missouri. They were required to have 2 low-income housing units as part of the project. There was several applications of this thing. One, because this was in midstream, the rules were adopted by the city, changed, which would allow these low-income housing units to be built off-site and not on-site. And so the application as presented, which was a by-right application where there were no variances, the only question was pretty much about the low-income housing located over on Lafayette Street. I was talking to Justine earlier. There's a watchdog group out there. I can't think of their name, but they're not a state agency, but they're like really a watchdog where they would actually, if we approved this thing and they didn't think it was correct, they would come back and sue the city. And so between Craig, who's our engineer, and them, they worked it out, and they actually preferred moving these units over on Lafayette Street than having the 2 units on site. And the 2 units on Lafayette Street are going to be a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom. And I can pass this around, but this is what it's going to look like when it's all said and done. But let me read what we put on here as far as, the only group that really was against this was our Environmental Commission. The proposed landscape plan is inadequate. Now we're talking about over on Lafayette Street. The proposed landscape plan is inadequate. The design at 1134 Lafayette Street depicts only stone driveway, pavers, grass, and planting. Details need to be presented, including native, low-water use plant species, while minimizing the area of open lawn. We strongly recommend that the same be required for any undeveloped portions of the Cape May Cove property over on Missouri and Pittsburgh. We also ask that the homeowners of the properties already purchased from Cape May Cove LLC be provided with information of eco-friendly, native, low water requiring plant species for use on their properties and attached here. And that was, the application was approved, and the condition upon the approval was that they would take our recommendations and they would abide by our recommendations. And it was earlier questioned about, well, they didn't present a plan for us to see anything, as whether we agree with it or not. But I guess it's really something that's going to have to go in tandem with the application. If we see where they didn't do what we recommended, then I assume, like any other problem, it's an enforcement issue, and that could be an issue. But then the building department, inspector's office would have to get involved with our engineer to say why they didn't do it or why they didn't do it correctly. So I guess pretty much it's up to us also to watch it and see what they do. Any questions about that?
Well, it's easy for Gretchen and myself to watch it. It's right across the street.
Well, I understand, but the other thing, there was an issue now of, first off, our engineer prepares a report, and I rely on our engineer because he has more expertise, obviously, than we do. And his recommendations were that, obviously, this was a by right subdivision, major subdivision plan, that really there was no reason that we could deny it because there were no variances. But we have to also look into now, this is the first one of the new plan where we allowed to have alternate sites for the low-income housing. And this is the very first one we've ever had. So now we have to go by this and see where, if we made any mistakes, we're going to have to learn from the future of any other project coming down the road, which from what I understand, there may be another project coming down shortly involving an on-site and off-site alternatives for low-income housing. So we're going to have to watch that.
Is there
Sorry,
an
can you tell me the
opportunity
address
if
again?
There is a certificate of occupancy that still has to be issued, or power turned on, or
Well, there
any
will have,
utilities that we
there
can-
will be a certificate of occupancy required for the 1134 Washington Street, because 1134 Lafayette Street, where the new units are going to go.
Right, so,
They're renovating it now. So ultimately, before they get their CO, hopefully they'll have that copy of our report, and the construction official's going to say, did they or did they not abide by what they
that's
said they
exactly
would do.
where I was going.
Okay? Yeah. But again, it's an enforcement issue. I mean, it's tough to keep your eyes on the ball on everything.
Did they agree to all of the conditions, not just the?
Everything that was in here is what they
So
agreed to.
what that means is that there are still several lots over there on Missouri and Harbor Lane that have not been built yet,
Correct.
and they're going to abide by.
They had the
landscape.
information that we gave them, your permitted stuff, what you recommended, I forget what you called it.
I just provided lists of native plants that are suitable for the area.
And they had that. That was as part of the approval. Yeah, I don't know what else they weren't going to hold up this application because of this.
Right.
But now I guess, again, it's baby steps. I mean, now we can watch that and see what they do. Again, it's assuming that a building permit CO has not been issued on those new homes. Theoretically, we should be able to go back and say, look, they agreed to do this. So,
But Mike, the CEO, I thought it was agreed, they agreed to the Lafayette Street.
correct.
The conditions for approval are that they follow the Environmental Commission's guidelines. I thought that, okay. Now, it's another story on Missouri, but
Well, they
it's-
also, part of it, part of the proposal here was we also asked that the homeowners of the properties already purchased from Cape May Cove be provided with information of
Right.
what they can or cannot do here, and hopefully they'll abide by that.
I mean, right, because that development's a classic case of us not having kind of a say in what's going on with the landscaping. And what's happened there is most of the lots, well, all of the lots developed so far have been developed with lawn and swimming pools and very little landscaping at all. And, you know, as a town that has issues with water supply, we should be looking at water conservation measures in the landscape, as well as supporting native plants that attract birds and butterflies that are so important to our region. So we can't go back and rewrite history from, you know, how many years ago that development was
10 years it's been going on, that project.
So, right, we can't fix that, but we can make a change as we move forward. And this is what we're asking.
I mean, Charlotte can attest to this, but to get actually on the list of any application that goes in front of the planning board, that we have input on every application, whether we can agree with it, not agree with it, but we can say something about anything that comes in front of the planning board. That never used to be that way, ever. So, I mean, which is a good thing. But again, it comes down to enforcement, and we just have to be vigilant on what after the fact, what happens. Because a lot of times people forget and they don't do it, and then we're stuck with it again.
And isn't this why we included in our budget for 2023 a small salary for someone, like a sustainability officer, to help with enforcement of these
I think we
exact
decided that was
issues?
going to be just
And, yeah, it was
that was going to be
decided
Craig, it was
that
going to be Craig Hurlis's.
that wasn't going to happen, but because that person should be doing that already, but is not.
Well, I don't want to defend Craig,
No,
but
I'm not.
I am defending Craig.
I'm not
because-
attacking him. I'm just saying perhaps he isn't aware that this is a part of his duties or like one of the tasks. I mean, it seems a bit much to me to ask someone to take on the additional job of enforcing environmental commission, sustainability ordinances and policies, in addition to all of what they're already salaried to do. But the review of the budget was that it was unnecessary because that person should already be doing it. So we're right back where we started then into who's going to enforce this.
I know that if you went in to get a building permit for a house, theoretically, they're supposed to be giving you this information about the species and whatever. They're supposed to be giving you as part of your packet that this is what you're doing. Am I wrong on that? I think.
I'm not clear, and if they are, it's not being enforced, because most new properties are not abiding to any type of emphasis on, you know, reducing water-thirsty landscaping and using native plants. It's just, it's not happening. And maybe that's just something we're gonna have to look into, how we tighten that up better for the city.
Well, I'm not familiar, do we have ordinances in place that require this? I don't think we do.
Not for the specific species in terms of like water conservation species, but we do have a water conservation ordinance from the
Yes.
mid-90s, and most people here do not follow it.
They don't follow it. I don't
And
think they
no
know
one
about
does
it.
anything to enforce it.
They may be handed the piece of paper, but that's no guarantee that they'll read it or remember it, and they don't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get bogged down, but where do we want to go with this? I don't want to not leave it. I mean, but I don't know what to do. Do you want to have a meeting with the building inspector and see what actually he does?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's going to be worth it. I don't know.
I think you,
May I
Yeah,
just
sure,
suggest
sure, Charlotte.
Supposed to be doing enforcement.
historically, this is what happened when an applicant would come in to the planning board. There was always a pre-application hearing by a small committee to the applicant and to suggest to that applicant, we have some regulations that we'd like you to adhere to. And one of them was that that committee would give the applicant our list of plans. That was always the way it was done in the past. I don't know what's happening now.
That committee doesn't always meet ahead of time, Charlotte. That does not necessarily happen, okay? Some applications, yes, because it's very complicated and they want to get a feel of what the planning board might do. That's where that committee comes in. I don't think.
Well, this particular project is certainly not a simple one. This one would have required, in my estimation, those steps, because Jesse Weeks and I worked on this project for 10 years. Jesse has now passed, but I know that she was a part of the planning board, and I know that she sat there and requested this kind of information go forward as the property got sold.
I think you're right on this application, Charlotte. You are right there.
So would it be worth it to have planning board come to a meeting? I mean, planning board, excuse me, code enforcement come to a meeting? And because I have a question, I don't even know. So somebody's watering their lawn at the wrong time of day.
Where they're located, east or west of Madison, and what time of year and what time of day.
But somebody has to be familiar with the code, and somebody has to knock on the door and say, hey, you're in violation of the code. My question is that a code or is that police?
I got a suggestion.
It's a violation of an ordinance in the city. I'm not sure who's responsible.
Why don't I see if I can get Lou Vito to come?
Come
Let's
in.
talk to them.
I want Lou Vito to come and sit in our meeting.
That's, I think have Lou come in
Yeah.
and sit
Very
down.
informally, just have them discuss what they do or do not do.
And that would be a great opportunity to also discuss the invasives ordinance and enforcement of that and how that's going
That's
to
fine.
play
Lou-
out.
Lou would, yeah, I don't think he'd gladly come, but he will come here. Lou is a first-class, upright guy. I mean, really, there's no. I
Absolutely.
mean, I don't see any issues with Lou coming here. All right, so we'll put that on the.
On the agenda for.
Yeah, see if you can get him to come next month. Or Charlotte, you be around then or no? Next month, April?
No.
But he'll come anyway.
Yeah,
You can listen.
Let him hear anyway.
Okay.
Physically be there.
Mike, do you want me to invite him, or
Yeah.
you want to touch base with him?
Well, you can invite him, and then I'll talk to him after that if you want.
Okay.
He'll come, I don't, as long as he's available.
It doesn't seem like a police issue. It seems like a code enforcement. You don't want a policeman knocking on your door and saying, turn off your water faucet.
I mean, Lou's pretty busy right now. He's got a lot going on right now, but I think he can break away for
A
an hour.
month's notice should help.
That's just-
All right, Mike, you have anything you want to say?
About anything?
Anything? Yeah.
Sure, I do.
State of the country?
I
maybe?
do.
No, not that.
Well, just, so there were a few things that I was asked to do last meeting. I'm not sure if I covered it all, but first item, just to report on for the, just so everybody knows that, it was asked for Evelyn Lovis to at least be recognized for her time on the commission and her good service, which was something I mentioned in the new business section of our council meeting 3 weeks ago, just to make sure everybody knew about Evelyn's service. The other thing that was brought to my attention was that we do have a new invasive species law, which obviously I'm very familiar with, and we have a city with who's probably one of the bigger violators of the law. And I did bring it up to council, and I said, I understand that, budgets are always tough, and we were close to a zero balanced budget, and I still requested that we make, if nothing, we make some progress and have, let's pick some properties and get them cleaned up, get the neighbors' properties cleaned up this year, get the invasive species under control. The mayor looked at me and he said, well, can you come back with some recommendations of which properties? Let's get started. We're not going to get them all done in 2023. And, you know, I'm not familiar with which properties they are. I'm pretty sure there are people on this commission that are. I would love it if you'd give me a list, and if you have priorities on that, and I will discuss it with Michael when the city manager, as soon as I have that list, and I think we can try to get started, because he will have 2 more, we hope, that the budget will be approved for 2 more people in Public Works this year.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think that, oh, and the last thing was the question about the seawall. Although it is a way off, the point is that the commission has not been talked to about the plantings that will be used for the seawall, and I was assured that that will be the case when it happens, that the commission will have their input and can be involved in the plantings, which is what I heard somebody say. So, yeah, the seawall project will not go on without, and I know, Gretchen, you're probably working closely with the folks anyhow, but the people here, you're not, okay. Well, I can assure you that the plantings will, 1, be approved by this commission, and 2, if they want to be involved in doing some of the plantings, both will happen. We'll make it happen, so.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Mike, is the city going to clean up their properties that have invasives?
We want to start. I don't know how many there
You have
are.
started, and I can share. One case is, I mean, the Nature Center property is a city-owned property, and we had a problem of English ivy right at the corner, and it was actually growing up onto the Coast Guard fence.
Oh,
And I asked for help, and they did come. And fortunately, I asked this winter when Public Works crews weren't as busy.
right.
And they came down, and we got that cleaned up. I would say it's 80% done, but they cleaned up the fence at least, and that's sort of our responsibility of being good neighbors to the Coast Guard, that we pull down that ivy. And there's more to do, and we're going to be tackling some of it this Saturday with our community cleanup day at the center. So they started.
Okay.
And so we have an example of making a difference. So, yeah, that has happened, but there's more to do.
Yeah, which is good. And so, again, the mayor said, give me a list of the properties, and we'll see. I don't expect that everything will be done this year, but I don't know how many properties we're talking about. What I can tell you is that we will address some of them this year.
A question, are street trees considered private property or municipal?
Street trees?
Street trees.
Oh, they belong to the city.
They're city?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Is it simplistic to suggest that we start with poison? Well, yeah, with English ivy, pick a few egregious examples and start there? Because it's easy, relatively easy, to find some of these things that are on public property and to tackle that, which is at least a start, and it's also visible.
Is a homeowner permitted to take action on a street tree? That's a tree between the sidewalk and the road. Are they permitted to do that?
I think that they are not. I think they can ask permission, because I know, I've heard too many stories of people that have city trees, that the branches are hanging down, and if you cut them off, you're going to hear about it.
That's clearly-
That you should have contacted the Shade Tree Commission
But
before
removing
you.
English ivy, you're probably right, it's probably forbidden. So I wonder if we might take some sort of, or at least, get an opinion from city, or,
Next month, we'll ask Lou.
yeah. Can
Really?
a homeowner remove their, because I removed my English ivy from my sycamore tree on the street, but.
I don't think I think you've done a, you've done a valuable service to the city.
I don't think anybody's going to be arrested for removing the ivy.
Unless you have an
Right.
angry neighbor.
Then why not start as something as simple as that, where even say that you have a homeowner do that, even if it's a city tree, and do something, at least start.
Right. I think the Shade Tree wants to be involved in how many branches you remove.
Pruning, yeah.
I think stopping English ivy from killing the tree, I'm sure they'll be.
It will kill the tree.
It will, and I can't imagine anybody having a problem with a homeowner doing that.
So, if I may jump in here, am I to understand there hasn't been an inventorying or index created of city properties with invasive species?
We just had
there
took
hasn't
2
been.
years to pass an invasive species ordinance, so.
Okay, so we
you
haven't
are
done
correct.
that. Is it
We have
incumbent upon city staff then to do that?
Sure,
Or volunteers? Is there an arborist?
no, that's us.
Okay,
No.
so
Well,
it
no,
would
it's
be
a shade tree commission.
Is it okay, is there an opportunity, I guess then, for this body to take it upon ourselves to at least inventory city sites to start this good neighbor?
The council was hoping that would be the case.
Okay, all right.
If we, I'm talking off the top of my head, so forgive me if I sound stupid. If we assign ourselves our own neighborhoods, I mean, there's a street tree across the street from me that I will go over there happily with my pruners and start peeling the ivy off it, and I don't think they will object at all. If we can somehow organize an informal project to start that and to start a survey, and do it section by section. I mean, I can do my block of Washington Street to just as an example of how easy it might be to just start that project. If it took us 2 years to write an ordinance, maybe it'd take us less than 2 years to clean it up.
Maybe we start with the inventory and
Yeah.
see what we have.
I think if we just examine ourselves, i.e.
Yeah.
the city and its properties, and at
It's
least,
it's a place to start.
right, that'll be a good starting point, and that'll keep us busy, and then I think it would lend itself, being educated enough in practicum, to say to our citizens, hey, this is what it's going to take for you, this is what you're looking for, number one, and this is what it's going to take to remove it, and the city making allowances for the townspeople to catch up with enforcement, because what you don't want to do is get too heavy-handed and say, certainly with the new plantings, you can try to circumvent that, but what's out there already, you don't want to get too heavy-handed and discourage people altogether.
Well, we can't. It's actually in the ordinance. It says that we're not going to be too heavy-handed.
Perhaps a subcommittee should be formed to go through the,
Let me
there's already.
talk to Lou
index.
Velasco first. He's the tax assessor. And he probably could generate some kind of a list, even with tax maps, of what city-owned properties there are.
We have the open space indexes already.
Something like that.
We-
Something.
Yeah.
they
I'm
already
not saying, we're not
exist.
gonna have to create the wheel on this. I think there's something that we can utilize, that we can help us get started.
We can at least
Go
get
beyond
started
just
with
open
that.
space, I would-
Right, it would
I agree
have
with
to
the-
go through that list that already exists and just check off the ones where invasives are
Right.
present.
I'm so used to looking at a map, right? So it's easier for me to look at a map than an address, because then I can just see how far it is, where it goes, distance from, like, and I
What is
think
it called,
that'd be the
the
easiest
Rossi
way, that,
list?
there is an the Rossi list is what you're talking
The
about.
Rossi list.
That list is available, I'm not sure, and there's probably maps that go with that, so I'll be able to, I think I should be able to get that. Hopefully, by the next meeting, I'll have that available for us, all right?
You are going to find a lot of, on the list, there's several what you would call like vacant, undeveloped properties that are nothing
You don't
but
even know- you
invasive.
don't even know they're there.
They're nothing, but maybe if we try to tell a good story, a positive story about some of the open spaces, like parks. I can tell you, the Nature Center is one example of a city-owned property. You've got Harborview Park, you have the Kiwanis Park, there's invasives on them. And, maybe if we start encouraging the city on a 3-year or 5-year plan to tackle some of those park spaces, and we document them with before and after photos and tell the story about how we're trying to make a difference and this is what you should be doing in your yards as well, we can put a real positive spin on it. So,
I like that idea, especially in Kiwanis Park. I mean, how many families go there for Camp Cape May in the summer? They will see that work happening.
well, Kiwanis Park, actually, didn't they get the grant for the ADA
yeah.
improvements?
Something's going to happen.
So, something's happening to that space, and if they haven't already addressed, like, there's a road right on the edge between the Inn at the Park and the park, that driveway, it's a mess. And I know because years ago, we planted native beneficial shrubs along there, and then they weren't taken care of. And the ivy and everything choked them out, and, so that may not be on the park renovation plans to fix that edge, but maybe we kind of add that into it. Find the money as they're doing all of the new playground equipment and the pathway to just make that improvement as well.
All right, between now and next meeting, I'll talk with Lou, and I'll try and get a list or even a tax maps of what city-owned properties there are, and then we can start from there. And like you said, baby steps on that one, too. Justine, you want to talk about your brochure?
Here is the hopefully final copy. I implemented the changes that were suggested last meeting. If there are any other suggestions, I need them in the next few days because Randy and I have been to Inkwell. We're being sent a quote for the printing of these, and then the final PDF will be sent over.
I misspoke. I think probably about 3,500 is what you need.
3,500.
3,500, not 7,500.
Okay.
$35.
The only thing that I do want to add about that is, it was a question also about the budget and if it had been approved yet, because we are applying for the ANJAC grant for the printing of these, and that's that's $1,500. But included with the grant application must be a letter from the city manager stating that the balance of the project that will not be covered by the grant, the city is responsible for and will pay. So I spoke to Inkwell and I said, we proposed a $5,000 budget for this. We're hoping for a $1,500 grant that leaves a $3,500 balance. What does that look like? How many brochures can we get? And she was like, way more than 7,500. So they're not going to be that expensive.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah.
Is it going to be on a glossy
No gloss, and not
For environmental
cardstock
reasons.
either.
Are we going to use a recycled product?
I am getting that quoted.
Okay.
And there was discussion of them going in the water bill. So by the time they're sent out to everyone in the water bill, distributed at all of the real estate agencies, the Chamber of Commerce, in Convention Hall, put
Landscapers.
everywhere, the landscapers, how many do we think we need? And they're not dated, and they could be sent next year also.
I mean, there's also a question of how much stuff we're going to put in with the water bills. I mean, that mailing gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year. We may want to do our own separate mailing.
Okay, well, that would be I guess, would that come out of our budget, or do we ask
I
the
don't know,
city
we have to
manager?
ask the city, the city would, don't know where it would come from, but we'd have to ask the city. Unless, if we can't do it with stuff, in a stuffer with the water bill, then we may have to plan for it to be a separate mailing. But it shouldn't have to be well, it may be in our budget, but certainly the city's gonna have to come up with some money if it's not. That's the way I look at it.
Separate mailing is a better way to have them actually notice it also.
I agree. We just need this sorted by the grant application deadline because I need a commitment letter from the city manager.
Where do we stand on the grant?
I have the budget under works, this is finalized, and I have the actual text outlined, so. I mean, it's not a long grant application, it's 900 words
And I know
max.
you requested help on a grant.
Oh, it's okay, I put it aside for next year.
Or something, I mean, if you need help,
No, it's only $1,500, I'm not going to
Okay,
spend 10 hours on it, that's not
we got
worth
middle
the
of April to get
time.
that in?
Yeah, the biggest hurdle is actually getting that letter from the city manager.
Write the letter. let
And just
sign
have
it.
them sign
Let
it?
them sign it.
Okay,
I would suggest that, even if it's only on a PDF or whatever, let them take it and let them rework it and tweak it a little bit if you're not happy with it.
and
Does it
what
have to be a
is,
city manager, it could be the assistant manager.
it's specific, do you have the grant application
Yeah.
information?
I mean,
It's
I guess
specifically
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
I don't think Anjek will care
Okay.
either way, but
Here.
it says, a scanned, dated, and signed letter from the municipal manager or administrator indicating endorsement of the application and ensuring payment of any additional costs that are included.
Would that have to be Mike, or could that be Lou? What do you think?
Oh, I think it could be either one. I don't see why not.
Write the letter and put it to Mike Voll, put it to Mike
Yeah,
Voll.
but yeah, I think you can even send them an email and just say, have Hannah type this up and sign it.
Or you could stop up there and just tell him what you need and.
Yeah, if you had it, I'll send it
I
to him
think
and ask him
would
to
be
get it
easier
done.
to you write the letter and take it to him and ask him if he would sign it.
It's only like a couple sentences, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
very short. It's
Yeah.
just a
Then you'll know it
commitment.
says what you want it to say, and it'll be easy.
How soon do you need it?
We need it by mid-April because I want to submit this I would like to submit it before April 10th. So the other thing is.
We'll get that.
That's why I asked about the Environmental Commission budget, because there was a section on our budget for this year that pertained to these brochures. And
Mm-hmm.
he might have questions about that.
So,
Like, is this coming out of our budget, or is the city just going to?
how does that go? For the conversation, I mean, it may have to come out of our budget, but the budget's not totally set yet, so I will ask the question. I did before, and it was pretty much like, look, the brochures like this, and actually there was pushback on mailing them by themselves. They said, we can get them out in, with everybody else's stuff that goes in the water bills, although they're only quarterly. But nonetheless, I got a lot of, we can handle this without making it a big deal in the budget. So the budget's still ongoing. There's like weeks left of discussion on it. And I will make sure that it's clear if it's our budget or it can be buried someplace else. I shouldn't say buried. It can be lumped into some other area. If it is our budget,
For us.
then I'm going to get the budget jacked up to handle the printing.
Okay,
So
I'll just continue.
that's what we'll do.
There's a lot of lateral movement in this budget.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
so
Yeah, this,
We'll work
they've got, yes.
anywhere.
I do have one question on the back where it, recommended native plants. It says other suggestions, and there's a phone number. What phone number
And
is
who
that?
is that?
It's
Chris.
Chris's.
I asked him if he wanted to be on that.
He said yes. Did he change his mind?
No, I don't know if it's a good idea to put his number.
I don't think you should put a phone, Chris Hayduk?
Yeah.
I think there should be a website, and why can't we have somewhere within the city website a list, a much further extensive list of native?
Anybody's personal phone.
We have our own section in the website. There's no reason we can't have that on there.
So what's the website I need to put then?
I don't,
Our website, I mean, if you go to capemaycity.com, there is an environmental commission. If you go to government and then you go to commissions and boards, there's an environmental commission. And what it does is it pretty much lists the people that are on it and the meeting dates and all that stuff.
But it doesn't have a list of recommended
Well, we
links.
need to
No,
get there.
but we can make a list.
But is that
A
going to be
reference.
done by mid-May, which is, I mean, these are going to print in, I'm sending the final copy in.
I think that you can have that done by mid next week.
Okay.
Somebody has to enter the information,
Yes, yeah.
and who will that?
I
Yeah,
think
or
it's,
someone that's, I'm just saying, instead of a phone number, it should just
I
go
always
to
go
a
to
website
so
within the
are you
city
okay
website.
about
and the-
the website?
Emily.
But
I mean, it can be changed.
I'll help
but
with that.
I'm
Please
not-
change.
I
Get
can't
Chris's
do
number off.
that.
Yeah.
May
Number
I
one.
suggest one step better, a QR code?
Yes.
So that way, all I'm doing is pointing my phone at it?
A lot of the citizens here are elderly, and
I don't,
I hardly even know how to do that.
I don't know how to do QR.
You can do both. You can put the
Okay.
link and the QR code.
Okay,
I can
so
do that for you.
I don't know,
I can do that for you.
okay.
If we,
I'm gonna email you this.
I will get you
I'm
the link
not a
to what
QR.
part of the website it's gonna be, and we'll create a QR code and I'll give you
Okay.
that. And
Okay.
it's just a graphic that you have to put there.
Okay.
And
I think if I can jump in, and I apologize if this has already been said, but for this opportunity to have longevity beyond this year and into the next, we need to make sure it's digital as well. And that if we're ever at a point where we're sending water bills digitally, emailing them, then it's easy to append attachments as you're emailing your citizens or something like sending out red code alerts or anything like that. This shouldn't be.
well, that's digital, right?
I have a copy on my computer.
But yeah, you can make a PDF version of this, and
Yeah.
we just have, who within the city manages the website?
I'm not positive who, but I just go to Emily. It's always,
Okay.
there's the city clerk.
And we're
Right
gonna-
now, the deputy city clerk, and ask her to get these changes made.
Yeah, we're gonna ask a little bit of their time to make these updates to the website.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Okay.
Justine, 2 years ago, the bike map had a QR code put on it that linked to a safety page on the city's website. I don't know who used it or whatever, but it did happen 2 years ago.
You okay with it?
That's,
Yeah, it-
I
So,
don't.
can I be clear, then we'll have both, a list and a QR code?
An email address and a list, is what you're saying, and a QR.
In the webs, in the,
I mean, I
under
do
the
think we
commission
need a
website, there
phone
would
number,
be
though.
both a list and a QR
Because
code.
a lot of people don't want to go on the computer. We have it's like, so maybe put all of the options then?
I really don't care if you put the Nature Center's phone number for that, because that is what we do anyway.
Okay.
We have 2 native plant sales every year, and that's part of our mission, is to give recommendations.
It is in here.
I know, but I mean, but I think giving people resources first, they can look at the lists, and the list that we had sent with this last planning board application, I took from other books and other sources. I mean, this is great to have like a dozen recommended, but really what we should be striving for is diversity and having a whole lot more options out there. So the list that I would like to create that's on the city website is gonna have hundreds of possibilities. And anybody have some extra time that could type up the list for me?
It's an interpreting hand,
All those
you know,
hands.
handprint, or
So, do you have the
it's
list
all in
there?
one place, typing it up? is-
You're talking about,
Yeah, that list with the,
Was in with the building code stuff.
you talking about that list?
I mean, yeah. It's just,
This is what you gave to, this is what was presented.
it's like typing up, retyping the list of plants. And it's probably, we
Their
don't,
common name and scientific
yeah,
name?
probably.
Okay.
I mean, and here's more lists, there's lots of lists. But I wonder if there's a way, if you have,
Because actually, if you have
can
full
scan it.
Adobe, you
yeah,
can scan it in, it'll convert it to Word, and then you're just cutting and pasting.
that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might be able to have a source for Adobe Pro, and then I can pull it together and format it. I have no problem.
Okay. And then I can just go back and look at, once that part's done, then I can go back and make sure we have a list of trees, a list of shrubs, and if anybody else wants to take a peek at it, that's fine. But,
Right, so you're gonna try and get this to Angela.
Right.
Angela, about getting it on Adobe.
should I email it to you? Okay.
Justine,
So,
Write your email.
let's get back and finalize that email address and the number together of the Nature Center. Put them,
you really want to take this on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think it's a much better idea than having Chris on. Although
And
Chris-
then,
You can have
although
a
Chris
personal
is-
phone number on it.
I've seen
That's-
Chris twice this week, so, but he's not here today, but
who should we put on the contact side then? Before I had City Hall, says these materials are provided by the Cape May City Environmental Commission, contact City Hall with questions, and I had City Hall's number. But like, realistically, when people don't like pressing one for more information, like, they want someone to answer the phone and just get
I would
the
agree
answer
with
that.
that. If I'm gonna
It's
call,
hard to
I'm-
get-
I'm calling with intent to talk to them.
Yeah, and so, I mean, having someone,
Thanks.
having a number there where someone will answer the questions, I think is ideal.
this is important, and I don't know the answer, so let's try and figure this out.
Yeah,
I really don't know
agree.
what to do there on that.
I don't know, not
As
my,
opposed to a phone number, why not, maybe I lost something sitting way over here, but as opposed to a phone number, why not the city website address?
well, we're gonna have both. This is in a different
Okay.
section.
And what about just creating PDF files, pages of all of that information that people can download the PDF?
That's what they're.
That's what we're
they're
gonna
do.
get- we're
That's
gonna
what they're
get to
gonna
that.
do. They're gonna
But
try and
can't
do
you
that.
just do a PDF instead of converting it all into Word?
But I think we should have our list. I
Okay.
mean, we can reference our sources, where we got them from.
So
But-
it would be plants for this area? Mm-hmm. Okay, great idea.
So whose phone number am I putting in the contact section as an environmental commission contact?
Well, we just put a number for Chris without his name, right?
Yeah, that's what it is right now.
And how would you want to put it with the Nature Center?
That's our main
Just
number.
Nature Center main number?
Yeah, I have it there. What is it? 427-3045? So I'll just, the Nature Center number will appear twice. It'll be under local suppliers of native plants, and then for other suggestions on the back. So on the back, there will be the Nature Center's phone number, the city's website, and a QR code. And then inside under, or in the contact section, the contact number for the Environmental Commission. So this is the number that people who are angry about this are going to call and complain.
Yeah, we'll give it to Chris.
Right, because it's already been in Spout Off, right? People upset about
Is
this.
that joking, or is that?
No, yeah, it's kind of joking because he's not here, but,
I think that's a better way to do it, putting the Nature Center there, when I think about it, the number.
Is Chris at all three of these numbers?
No,
Chris is not at any of those numbers.
For code, for,
Here.
yeah.
This is code enforcement. The third one was this 8499496. That was Chris.
That's Chris.
Yeah. The
Okay.
first two under the reporting list is code enforcement.
I personally don't think you should have any individual person that's on the Environmental Commission's phone number on there.
I asked him twice about that directly, and sure you want to do that? You sure you
Yeah.
want to do that?
Then
And
the
he said
list
yes, but
of plants
I don't
that
think
she
you ought
wants
to do it
to
either.
add on.
So change it back to say City Hall?
Yeah.
Just contact
Start
City
there,
Hall.
and just as long as City Hall then knows how to handle those calls, they may then say, oh, well, you should get in touch with the Environmental Commission, and they have meetings on
Absolutely.
Tuesdays. It should start at the city, because this is related to a city ordinance.
Okay. All right,
You all right?
sounds good. Is that it? That's the end of this last
Anybody have any
edits?
other- Anybody have any other changes?
Well, I'll get you the web link and QR code,
Okay.
and we will work on getting the website updated.
And then you're going to finish up the grant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we're good to go.
I think it's due the 17th or something, but I'm leaving town the 10th, so it is going in before the 10th.
Okay.
Would you want this on the website as well? And
Yeah,
then the
when it's
list,
done, it should be a PDF version.
and then the full list of
Yep.
the additional plants? Do you know that we have a mosquito habitat checklist on here right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
All that.
That's good.
yeah. But
Do you want to talk about Ocean Fest? Yes, no?
Sure.
5 minutes left.
Ocean Fest is happening on June 17th at the Nature Center. It's a very small, everything happens on our property kind of event. Probably about 6 or so environmental organizations with information tables, and about 6 to 10 artists that would have environmentally friendly, ocean-themed artwork. We'll have some music, and we're just encouraging people to kind of, almost like an open house, to come and hang out and enjoy the day. It's Father's Day weekend. It is a busy weekend because it's the Barefoot Music Festival in Wildwood, so that's like the big event. And we're not trying to have a big festival. A couple hundred people probably will be stopping by throughout the day. West Cape May Environmental Commission has committed, at least verbally, to fund to support the event. So just waiting for the paperwork to be done and that donation to come. We're hoping Cape May City Environmental Commission will also be a sponsor for the event. I know it was placed in the budget, but we sort of need to know soon if we can, so that we can, in all of our promotions of the event, let people know that it's being sponsored by the Environmental Commissions.
Did we
We've
do
al-
this last year?
we did, and they did support it, and we won an award for it by ANJAC to recognize the festival. It's sort of like a green fair event, and it was recognized,
I
so
don't think the city will take it out of the budget. So I would just,
we've reached out to Cape May Point again to see if they'll come forward. Not so sure. So that's really all I have to say. We're looking for volunteers for the day to help with
That's
that.
me. Can you push this through, or do we need to put a bill for it, or what do we need to do, Mike?
how much are we talking?
1,000,
$1,000?
Oh, we did this last year.
yes.
We
that's
did
what I
this
said.
This is in the budget.
That's what I would suggest.
I mean, as it is right now, it's not been approved, but yes.
For something that we are.
You send me, something that says that you need $1,000. It's going to be payable to the Nature Center?
Yes.
And I'll take it to, the city manager has to approve it.
Okay.
So Gretchen, you'll write it up and we'll submit it?
Should I just email you?
Just email me
Okay.
is fine, yeah,
Okay.
I'll do that.
because I'll take care of it. And you're, yeah, I mean, you're not in a immediate need, but you'd like it soon.
Yeah, we want to start, getting the word out, press releases. We're contacting the vendors and artists. We're lining everything up.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
We're running late on time
Okay.
here. On the agenda, anybody have anything they
Yeah,
want
can we
to
do
say?
real quick on the dune grass?
Go ahead.
Justine and I took a very nice walk on the promenade yesterday, before the sun went away, to see if we could find areas that need dune grass planting. And during that very nice walk, we discovered that the city is installing showers at every single beach entrance. And at least in 2 or 3 of them, they have dug up previous beach grass plantings and dumped the sand over the rest of the beach grass plantings. So there are some bare spots there, but I have a feeling that maybe that grass will grow eventually. But we did spot between the yellow lifeguard station, walking towards the cove, there's a long area there that's pretty bare. And those, any area in there would be a possible place to put in a planting.
I think they know that, and they do have plans around Earth Day to
Who's
do.
they?
The city. What I've heard, they actually, maybe Mike has some more information about it. I think they were notified of some violations, and they're remedying it.
Okay.
So-
I mean, I was just standing there watching it and called Public Works yesterday and just found out that this is what's going on, and I didn't get into whether there was any violations or not. I just wanted to know what was happening. And so I wasn't worried about those areas, but we did see those other, a long area in that area, that part where we could do some new planting. So that's what we talked about, and the city gets their grass from churches. We didn't get any farther than that, much discussion on that, but we thought, well, we would just do the same thing, pick a spot along there. But now we have to wait until this construction is finished and we know what's going on, but we would like to get the grasses in if we can this spring, maybe in May. It's a pretty tolerant plant. I don't think it's going to be annoyed if we put it in when the weather is too hot. And that's kind of where it stands right now. We thought maybe also that we might add a couple of bayberry or other good beach plants along in that area too, because it's fairly bare.
The 22nd. So I spoke to someone at Public Works that reached out to me for advice. The city was issued violations from the DEP. And probably for those, I didn't get all the details probably, but for those projects, and they're aware of it, and they're trying to make good on the areas that were disturbed. And the last I heard is that they would like to use Earth Day as a chance to do something and have the community come out and do some plantings. I don't know. That's all I know, Mike. I don't know if you know any
So they
more.
want
I
to-
don't.
I don't,
So,
told me,
yeah,
that they
it's,
want to replant the areas that they violated.
I don't know.
Okay.
And I'm honestly, he was asking advice on, because the person in Public Works is new and
Right.
has never been part of a dune planting project, and I told him, reach out to Cape May Point, because Cape May Point really has their act together when it comes to dune planting work. And I was just kind of this go-between, and that's all I know.
Okay.
So they are addressing it.
Okay.
Because they want to make good on that for their beach management plan.
Well, then, should we back off then and wait on these other possibilities that we saw and just not worry about it at all?
Let's wait till after Earth Day.
Well, yeah, we would have to wait till after Earth Day anyway, but,
That, it impacts the grant application.
yeah, we have a
because
grant
it's due
application.
mid-month, and so we were going to submit a secondary application for dune plants.
Well, reach out to
So if we don't do it-
Colin Smith from Public Works.
Yeah,
Because
let's do
he's been
that.
charged with, he's got to fix this problem that the city has.
All right.
That's all I can
mean,
tell you.
Well,
If
why
they
don't the
wanted
two of us then continue to work on this and deal with Public Works and
This wasn't
move from there.
grant for this April 17th?
It's the same one.
Yeah.
During our last meeting, we
I
discussed
remember that
sending in
now,
two
yeah.
different applications. But it sounds, I mean, the money, the grant recipients aren't announced until May anyway. So this idea for an Earth Day event it just doesn't line up. So maybe we don't do this
Right.
grant application and just try and help them organize the Earth Day planting event, and then do the secondary grant application for the Nature Center, which I know Gretchen and Meryl.
I have no time. I don't, and I already have another grant for the project that I had in mind, and the front of the Nature Center building, our Welcome Center, the gardens have been there for about 15 years. It needs a rejuvenation. We had some construction work done, and the gardens are just not in great shape. So my goal is to do a makeover this year from the Xerces Society. They have $1,500 grants, and they're pollinator kits. And this year's round of funding is really focusing on New Jersey. I mean, if you read all the criteria, we're a shoo-in, knock on wood, that we should get this grant. And I'm probably submitting that today.
So going back to dune grass then, should we just put it on hold and until after Earth Day?
I think if you want to be involved in that, because the city has got to make good on what happened.
Right.
Apparently, they were issued 3 violations. And it might be three spots that they got too close to the dune and took out too many plants. I don't know, that's all I know. And that they have to remedy it. So they're gonna find the money in their existing budget to go fix what they did, or they're gonna be in big trouble with the DEP.
Okay, well, I know we're running out of time. Let's talk to Public Works then, and then figure out what's going to go on there, then
I think you're
report back
spinning your
here.
wheels talking to Public Works, too. I think you're spinning your wheels talking to Public Works.
Well, I just want to find out what's happening, and then should we go ahead and let them do their thing on Earth Day?
Our
and
planting
we
of dune
figure?
grass wouldn't affect whatever they do. We could still have a grant app for dune
Yeah.
grass planting, regardless, whatever.
I'm not writing that
I get it, I get it.
No, I'm doing it.
Focus on the one grant, make
Yeah.
it a good grant, and
I've
get the
got the
invasive
dune
species.
grass grant. But I'm still not clear
Put
on
it on
whether,
hold, put it on hold.
okay,
Fine with me.
okay. I'll draft it anyway, it'll be ready to go.
Anybody else have any comments on the rest of the agenda?
I just wanted to share an email I got yesterday from the mayor, and I can forward it on, that he wanted to make sure this is shared with the commission, that the city got their first electric police car, which is being charged right here from the solar panels that exist on the building. So it's the first electric police car in the county. So,
Great, good.
Congratulations.
I just have a couple of things, actually, regarding my attendance. I noticed on the agenda, there's an opportunity for an in-person training. I have a conflict and won't be able to attend that. And then I will not be here in May. If there is an opportunity to call in, then I can do that, but we have travel.
Okay.
Charlotte, you got anything you want to say?
Well, I do have a report. How about if we keep it for next month for you?
Sounds good, sounds good.
Okay?
Any other business?
I
Motion,
don't think so.
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Yay.
Thank you.
All right, Charlotte.
Bye, Charlotte.
Bye-bye.
All right, please turn,
What's the final disposition? Is it just an edit?
Yeah,
And then it goes print?
Yeah. The Nature Center phone number, a web website and a QR.
Hey, Lou?
Is
that-
that about enough? How much
Hey,
space
Ben.
do you need?
It'll fit. It'll fit. I can make it.
This could squeeze a little bit up. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Maybe a little larger than that,
Yeah,
yeah. Not too bad.
and then just change this phone number and then
Yeah.
we're done.
I printed it so that she could show it.